Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty significant: depersonalization and derealization, or DPDR,
Mhm.
and specifically its grip on, well, your quality of life and sense of freedom.
Right.
We've got some really insightful material from you, the listener, that, shines a light on how restrictive DPDR can feel.
Yeah, some powerful stuff in there.
So our mission today is to kind of dig into those limits, but also, maybe more importantly, explore if a meaningful life is actually possible while dealing with this stuff.
That's the key question, isn't it?
It really is. And one thing that jumps out right away from your sources is this feeling, first the symptoms have to go, then I can live again. That just, wow, it sets the scene.
It really does. And that sentiment captures so much of what the sources describe. It's this feeling that life is basically on pause.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a vague feeling. It has real, tangible consequences.
Yeah.
The excerpts you shared, they paint a picture of life losing its joy, its purpose.
Meaningless almost.
Pretty much, yeah. A real lack of meaning.
Mhm.
It's this fundamental shift in how you perceive everything, how you interact with the world.
Absolutely. And it's not just happening inside your head, is it? Your sources talk about how this leads to actual limitations in day-to-day life.
That feel.
Certain situations, they make the feelings worse, the unreality amps up, and so people start avoiding things.
Avoidance is huge. We see examples like pulling back from friends, from social events,
Yeah.
becoming super restrictive with food, only eating safe things,
Right. Or even bigger things mentioned in the sources, like stopping school, quitting jobs.
giving up driving, ending relationships. It can touch every part of life.
Wow. So when you add all those individual avoidances up, what's the bigger picture?
Well, the bigger picture the sources paint is this profound feeling of being trapped, like you're not in a driver's seat anymore.
Yeah.
The word cage actually comes up in the material, the sense of being powerless over your own decisions.
That sounds incredibly disheartening.
It is. And it feeds right back into that initial thought, doesn't it? I can't live until this goes away.
Okay, so we've laid out these really significant restrictions you've highlighted, but the sources don't just stop there, do they? They actually suggest another way.
Exactly. There's this interesting shift in perspective offered. The idea that maybe, just maybe, a meaningful life isn't totally dependent on the absence of DPDR.
Okay, hang on. So it's not just about coping with it.
Well, that's part of it, but here's where it gets really interesting. Like you said, the material suggests that actively engaging with life, despite the symptoms,
Uh-huh.
might actually be part of the solution. Like, the action itself could influence the DPDR. It's not just waiting.
So taking control back, in a way.
That seems to be the core message. Regaining a sense of agency is paramount. Instead of passively waiting, the focus shifts to, what can I do right now, even feeling like this?
Right. Which brings us to those self-reflection questions you pulled out.
Yeah, those are really key.
They're powerful, aren't they? Even just reading them makes you think. Things like, what does quality of life actually mean to me? Not some generic idea, but for me.
Personal.
And what makes a life meaningful for me? Where do I want to go? What do I want to achieve?
And then the really crucial ones in this context, what can I actually do
Yeah.
despite the DPDR?
Yeah. And which parts of my life am I just not willing to let these feelings ruin?
You see the shift there. It's about acknowledging the feelings, the unreality, the detachment, but not letting them dictate everything.
Okay.
It's about finding your values, your goals, and then finding ways, even small ways, to move towards them, even if the experience feels weird or distant.
Reclaiming that freedom bit by bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Claiming that freedom of action.
So, wrapping up our deep dive into your sources, it seems clear that, yes, DPDR can massively impact your life, restrict your freedom, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
But the material offers this compelling alternative to just waiting. It's about regaining control by actively deciding what matters to you and then, crucially, taking steps in that direction.
Regardless of whether the symptoms are there or not in that moment, the action is key.
Right. The action itself becomes important.
Which leads us to a final thought for you listening right now. Thinking about all these restrictions, but also this potential for action. What's one small, deliberate step you could maybe consider taking today towards a life that feels more meaningful to you, even with these feelings tagging along?